So this piece of equipment is called the water bladder, or the brand name is the MSR DROMEDARY, MSR being the brand name, the company. This holds about 6 liters of water, and we use it to carry large volumes of clean water. You should only be putting filtered water into this dromedary or water bladder. It's great because it's very durable, but you'll notice it has a few things that we will utilize in the field. One is that around it there is a cord that can be useful to hang it up from a tree. If a tree were to have some free sticks or a nail perhaps, you can also use that cord to cinch it down to your backpack. The other thing that's good about it to know is that you can see right here there's a small lip, and that lip is useful because when you are using this to actually pour water out of it or to remove the caps, which we'll get to in a moment, you want to use that lip and grab that lip like this. And then what that'll do is actually that'll keep the caps horizontal so you won't spill much water, if any at all. So the two caps, the first cap is the large cap, and that is the entire cap will come off and you'll have access to a large mouth to pour large volumes of water out of. We don't use this a whole lot unless we're doing a large pot for dishes or boiling a lot of water. This is hard to pour controlled if it's a very full water bladder. The more useful cap is the smaller cap, and this has two features. First, if you take it off, as you can see, or maybe not, I'll try to zoom in a little bit there. The opening is much smaller, so you have much more control when you're pouring water out of it. But also, this particular cap, the small cap, has a smaller spigot, which can be useful to just give you a small amount of water if you're brushing your teeth or just need a small amount of water for cooking or cleaning. So the biggest problem we have in the field is when you take this cap off, that small cap, when this bag is hanging up, there's going to be a lot of water pressure right here. So when you undo this small cap, oftentimes the rush of water will knock this cap out of your hand and you'll lose it. And if we lose this in the field, it's almost impossible to continue to utilize this water bag. So then we'll be down a water bladder, which means we'll be needing to go to the water source more frequently. So again, be careful when you use the smaller cap. And as a quick demonstration, the way that we often use this in the field, like I said with the cords, is you'll get to a tree and you might take a small piece of rope or parachute cord and tie it around, or you'll find a stick or a small twig that's hanging off and you'll simply hang it. And now you can undo the small cap for a controlled flow of water. Just make sure you don't lose this. If you're going to be opening up the larger cap, you're more likely wanting to actually take this down and hold it with the lip like we talked about. So this is the water bladder that we'll be using in the field. We have one of these per each hiking group. The main way that we will be filtering water along the trail is to use water filters, and we specifically tend to use a system called gravity filtration. And so we're going to walk through that. The first thing is each group will be outfitted with one of these. This is a SAWYER mini filter by the SAWYER company. This is great for many reasons. The biggest one for us is that it's going to be lightweight. This will essentially filter all of the bad stuff we're trying to avoid, the bacteria, the parasites. It does not effectively filter viruses, but where we are going, the risk of viruses, specifically hepatitis, is essentially zero. This isn't the type of filter that you would be wanting to use in places where you have more highly or are more likely to get things like hepatitis, say in certain developing countries. But for the Appalachian Trail, this is perfect. And the way that it works is we use a 2-bladder system or a 2-bag system. And so I'm going to set that up for you first. Essentially what you'll have, and again, each group has all of this gear except for the second bladder that is going to be part of your individual gear. First thing you'll have is you will have a dirty bladder or a dirty water bag. This is the bag that you are going to go to the creek, you're going to go to the spring or the lake, and you're going to just open up the top. It can be a little tough, but you're going to open it up, and then you're going to get your water. And the way that we recommend it, as we discussed in the video, is you're going to pre-filter it with something. And we most commonly will just use a bandana. And so you'll essentially cover the hole or the mouth of it with your bandana, and then you'll dip it into the lake. And the idea of the bandana is to filter out all of the large particles, the leaves, the big chunks of dirt, things like that, because those are the types of things that can really clog up your filter and make it not as effective or make it last a shorter time overall as far as its lifespan. So you'll get your water bladder filled up. These are camelbacks. These are 3-liter camelbacks. You'll get your water bladder filled up with your pre-filter using a bandana. And once you've got it completely filled, much like the MSR dromedary, it's got a nice lip that you can hold on to. You'll make sure that the lid goes back on, nice and snug. And this is step 1. Now, all of these will also come with, it'll essentially be a full set, because it's also going to come with the actual bite valve, okay? The way that we use the gravity filter is you have the dirty water hanging, you have the tubing going from the hung bag down to the clean bag, and in between the 2 bags there's the filter. So as you can sort of see with my description, the dirty water uses gravity to go through the filter where it's cleaned, and then it ends up in the clean bag, which is then part of your personal gear. That's the water bladder or the camelback that you're going to be carrying as you hike. Now, obviously, instead of having the filter go into a camelback or a water bladder, it can go directly into a NALGENE bottle or a cup of water or whatever you want to fill up. But for our purposes, to clean a large volume of water, we're going to be using the 2-bag system. And so, again, imagine that this is completely full with water. You're going to generally take some sort of cord, little piece of parachute cord. I'm just using string here. You'll have it tied, usually like a square knot, and you'll have that hung. Okay? Then you're going to take your clean water bag, all right? And you are going to actually take the bite valve off. And again, don't lose it, because if you lose it, then you no longer have a water bladder. So you'll take the bite valve off, and then you will get your SAWYER water filter. And as you can see, there's actually an arrow built into the design showing you exactly where you want to attach this. So the water is going to be flowing from here down, as you can see here. So you're going to uncap the water filter, you're going to plug the end into the tubing of your clean water bag, all right? And then you're just gonna lay this on the ground or someplace where it's lower. The lower it is, the more distance there is between the clean bag and the dirty bag, the more gravity, the more force will actually be going through, the faster your water gets clean. So what you'll do is you will then take the bite valve off of the dirty water bag, and you will, usually pretty quickly because it will be flowing, is then attach it to your water filter. So at this point in time, you have a 2-bag system. All right, you have the dirty bag high up, you've got the tubing going into the SAWYER mini water filter, and then this is all clean. You have clean tubing going into your bag, and you'll simply lie it there on the ground. And over the course of 15-20 minutes, this should filter the entire bag. So we're going to spend a few moments just troubleshooting this system. A couple things that can happen that might slow down the flow is, one, the distance between the dirty bag and the clean bag might not be that great. So you're just getting a slow flow overall. Sometimes you can't change that based on your terrain, but easy thing to do is just to raise this to a higher level. So that's one. Another issue sometimes is that the actual filter will start to become clogged. I mentioned earlier that all that dirt, all that, those leaves, all those things will eventually get clogged in here. And so first off, we recommend that after every few uses, definitely several times a day when we're doing this as a full group, we're gonna be back flushing the SAWYER water filter. So I'm gonna show you how you do that here. You'll essentially unhook it from all of the tubing. Obviously, you want to cap those again with the bite valves if there's still water in them. But each group will have a large 50cc syringe as part of their kit. And what you'll need to do is you'll need to draw up 50 cc's or more into this syringe. And again, as we noted, this has a directional flow on it. And we're gonna back flush it, which means we're gonna go opposite the flow. You'll simply put the 50 plus cc's of water and you will pressurize it, and you'll do it pretty quickly, okay? And you'll notice that a lot of that water coming out is gonna have a brown tint to it. And then you will simply do it again. You'll need to do it 3 or 4 times, drawing up clean water. Make sure it's clean water that you're back flushing with, and you'll just continue to do that. It usually takes 3 or 4 back flushes before you've completely cleaned out all the water, or all the grime from the filter, and the water will become clear. It'll start to look like clean water. Once you've back flushed it, at that point in time, you can continue on with your use of the gravity filtration. The final thing that you'll want to do is properly store all this equipment. So one thing that we commonly see is when people are done filling up their own water bladder, they will do several things. One is that they will often forget to cap the filter here, and then they'll just let it hang down, and obviously when it's hanging down, you're losing all your water that you retrieved. When you're all done with your filter system, if this bag is empty, then you will definitely need to recap the dirty water bag with the bite valve. Now, that's only important because this helps us keep the water in if we are carrying dirty water for quite a distance. There are days on the trail where the water source isn't exactly close, and we'll need to carry all of our water a mile or so to our campsite from the water source. So having these bite valves is going to be really important. So in addition to keeping this all together, the other thing that'll be important as part of your water filtration kit is going to be capping this. That is in order to keep the tip here that is going to go into your clean system clean. Essentially, you don't want dirt and grime on this end, okay? As you can see from the flow, that is the end that is clean. So you're going to cap that at all times when you're not using it. And finally, you're going to want to not lose your 50cc syringe for back flushing.